Protecting the world's wildlife is hard enough on dry land, but how do you do it out at sea?
Welcome to the Travel Show, coming to you this week from the Seychelles. Now, this is a country made up of over 100 small islands, boasting white sandy beaches and turquoise waters. Now, it might look idyllic, but it's under threat from pollution, overfishing, and habitat destruction. So this week, I'm here to find out about a groundbreaking new scheme aiming to protect the environment for future generations of locals and tourists alike. Also coming up on this week's show, we send Addy deep underground to get a taste of mining in Wales.
It's quite dark and I couldn't imagine having to work down here.
And Tommy's here with all the new gadgets you might need on your travels, plus a convenient place to put them.
I've even got a pocket for my tablet in there. Huh? Who's the coolest cat in the city? Me.
First, we're in the Seychelles, an archipelago of 115 islands found in the Indian Ocean off East Africa. Every year, nearly 250,000 tourists flock to the islands in search of world-class beaches, nature reserves, and an ocean paradise like no other. With over 1 million square kilometers of resource-rich waters, the islands boast the most diverse array of underwater wildlife. However, only 1% of their marine areas are currently protected, leaving them extremely vulnerable.
Things are changing. Before, when I was a small boy, corals were in perfect conditions and you could basically be in the water for the last 4-6 hours and still enjoy what you're seeing and discovering. But after 1998, we had a major coral bleaching that killed about 90% of our coral. And most of it is coming back now. And also pollutions, as we develop, you get more pollution happening, especially around the main islands. And also the question of overfishing. So somehow we need to find a way to keep on using those resources, but at the same time, managing it properly.
Game fishing in the Seychelles attracts thousands of tourists and locals every year, so I've come to give it a go. Oh wow, look, he's coming up, I can see him. So what's this one called?
Bonito.
It's a bonito.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do with him?
We're going to release
Throw him back in?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa! What kind of fish is it?
Dog-tooth tuna.
Dog-tooth tuna. Wow, he's huge. All right, off you go. Thanks so much. It's your first TV appearance.
Okay.
Bye-bye. How popular is game fishing here?
It's getting more and more popular, especially with our 10 tournaments across the year. And you see a lot of tourists start to come in specifically just to attend our events.
How big is a wahoo?
Maybe around 10 kilos.
10 kilos. Oh my God! He's a big one. Whoa!
Very important part of Seychelles' economy. We have a lot of room to grow, and by more people coming in to go sports fishing rather than see the island, it's a different attraction for tourists.
Wow, what a beautiful fish!
A growing number of big game fishing clubs in the Seychelles have been adopting the practice of catch and release. But it hasn't been easy.
So how prevalent is catch and release? Do all boats do it here?
In our tournaments, we actually we set up rules to allow boats to tag and release, and if they don't tag and release, they are not eligible to win a prize.
Right.
So are all boats tagging and releasing? No, but we're trying to work with everybody to make sure that continues in the right direction.
So they're strapping Grant into the chair here. This means we've caught a big one. So this is pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, this is a couple hour fight.
Couple of hours? You could be doing this for a couple of hours. Wow.
big fish, man.
400 pounds.
Wow, that is one big fish. Look how sharp that nose is.
Now, I saw you put a tag in him. What's it all about?
That's a satellite tag, and it's going to be the BBC Travel Show satellite tag. It's entered in the International Great Marlin Race, and it's going to track its migratory pattern and also the depths and temperatures of water that it's swimming around in now for the next 180 days.
Wow, so we can follow our own BBC Travel Show Marlin.
Correct, you can. As we gain more and more data, we can make proper decisions on worldwide, basically, on what to do with marlin and how to protect them.
So we've had to let the marlin go, but we've also tagged him. It's so amazing and such a rush to see such a big fish so close. I can't believe we caught a marlin. Whilst many big game fishermen are adopting a conservation mindset, the government feels that a more radical approach is the only way forward.
We're planning to have a marine special plan for the whole territory of Seychelles, and it is about 1.4 million square kilometers, and it has not been done before. This is the first time that any country is doing it. So for us, it's a little bit of getting out of the small island mentality and to try and think big and do something which is really of paramount importance to the islands here in Seychelles.
The ambitious plan will involve strictly zoning the oceans to allocate areas for activities such as fishing, tourism, marine transport, and renewable energy. It also aims to increase its marine protected areas from 1% to 30% and make zones where fishing is prohibited.
Tourism, it will be better, in fact, because there will be a lot more places now that's being put under protected areas, and protected areas is where you get the best fish, the best coral, the more exciting place for you to visit.
So this conservation plan does sound promising, but in a country that's so reliant on the fishing industry, it seems compromises are going to have to be made somewhere.
This is where the main entrance to the port, which is where all the semi-industrial and artisanal fishermen come in to unload their catch.
How many boats altogether, roughly?
It's about 400 boats altogether.
What will be the consequence of these new zonings for fishermen?
See, these people would have to go out further, so going out further would mean more fuel, more time traveling and less time fishing. And the result of this would be you getting less fish in. So obviously the prices of fish in the local market, I believe, when they are less, it will go up. The process is still ongoing, I believe, and we are following it very closely to make sure that the lives of these fishermen and the communities that depend on fishing are not affected at all. Because as I told you, I believe this fishing method can coexist with conservation and biodiversity preservation at the same time. If there's a right balance, it can coexist.
The zoning project, set to begin in July, is certainly going to affect the way many fishermen do business. But with such resource-rich waters, many people here in the Seychelles believe it's a risk worth taking. If you're thinking of heading to the Seychelles, here's the travel show guide of things you might want to think about before you go. The best time to travel is between May and September, when the weather is usually dry and settled. But since the climate rarely drops much below 24 degrees year-round, you'll still find beach paradise in the low season. And you'll have a better chance of finding a bargain. The Seychelles is world-renowned for its luxurious hotels and resorts, but there are a growing number of affordable places, from self-catering properties to family-run guest houses, that may even offer a more intimate and local experience. If you're happy to cook for yourself, why not visit the bustling local markets in Victoria and Beauvalon-on-Mahe, where you can stock up on cheap, fresh fish, fruit and island veg.
Time now for your travel update. First to Crete, where at least 16 Russian tourists had to be rushed to hospital after being struck by lightning while visiting the famous archaeological site of Kos. While officials were keen to stress that lightning strikes there were rare, it was evacuated after the incident and the site was shut for the day, frustrating some tourists waiting to enter. And across to Portugal, where its capital city of Lisbon is in a festive mood. The city is celebrating the 500th anniversary of the famous Belém Tower, as well as its patron saints. If you're heading to the region, festivities continue until the beginning of July. And to finish on a high note, here's a different way to experience the caves of Queensland in Australia. Due to the impressive acoustics, opera lovers got a taste of high art in the underground Capricorn Caves. The caves are a popular tourist attraction, but if you want to catch some opera there, it's on twice a year. Still to come on the travel show. Addie's at the coalface in Wales to get a flavour of life as a coal miner, 90 metres below Wales' idyllic countryside.
My grandfather was a miner, my father was a miner. It's a way of life. In Wales, every village had a coal mine.
The travel show, your essential guide wherever you're heading.
My gadgets mean everything to me, but what about my prized possessions back at home? I mean, who's keeping an eye on them when I'm not around? Well, it's a good thing I've got my mate Fleur.
Fleur sees everything, daytime, nighttime, in high definition, and it can even save you time with its rapid recap, overlapping all of the day's activity into one short video so you can check on any activity in your home whilst you're away on your travels.
This is probably not a bit of kit for your absolute beginner in home remote security. I mean, it was quite fiddly and tricky for us to set up, but there is so much going on. In the camera's infrared mode, you can even film quite clearly in the dark. But there are definitely cheaper and more simple alternatives available. External battery source, I've got a pocket for that right there. Remote control, why not? I've got a pocket for that in there. I've even got a pocket for my tablet in there. Huh? Who's the coolest cat in the city? Me.
The Quest Vest has 42 pockets designed to do a whole manner of jobs.
There's even small little cable holes within the pocket so you can interlink from, say, my battery source to my mobile phone, which will be on charge all day now in my pocket. And as if that's not enough, there's a special pocket here which has got an RFID blocker, so it stops any of your details being taken from your card. This jacket has literally got it all, apart from street cred. I'm well aware of what I look like. Still high five, still high five. All right, one way over there. Okay, who's the good? When you lose your wallet, it's bad enough. When it happens abroad, it's even worse. You can spend hours on the phone trying to arrange cancellations and replacements. And think about all of your loyalty points. Weeks and months of visiting your favorite coffee shops and restaurants to get a free hot drink or a whole roast chicken. Gone. Don't let it happen to you.
The Wocket is designed to replace your wallet and your debit and credit cards. You simply swipe them all into your device and then leave the actual cards at home. When you need to pay for something, select the card you want on screen, hand over the Wocket card, and hey presto, all done.
The idea behind this is very good and it's safe and secure, but this is just a test model, so it is a little bit clunky. The touchscreen wasn't that responsive, and it's only compatible with swipe technology, which means it's no good for chip and pin or contactless payments. However, at least I can be out and about knowing that I can't lose my cards. So I'm going to stick this on the Wocket. Check, please. Drones are hot right now. Everybody's got pictures taken by drones whilst they're on holiday. So we found one that's lightweight, portable, and travel friendly. Plus, you can launch it like this. There's a camera underneath, that can snap pictures whilst you stand under it. Over here, little droney.
The Parrot's rolling spider mini drone is controlled from your smartphone. It does nice little tricks and flips over, and it's incredibly easy to master.
But it does switch itself off if it does get caught up, and this will come apart quite easily if it does get tangled. It's almost too lightweight. A little gust of wind and it can be quite easily over the edge. You want to use this somewhere where you're quite shielded or even indoors. Plus the battery life. It only lasts just under 10 minutes and it takes an hour and a half to charge. So just when you're getting into it and you're starting to enjoy it, it's time to put this parrot back in the cage. I think we need to fix this. It's come apart.
Up next, Addie heads to the south of Wales to explore the picturesque valleys formed by both Mother Nature and hard labour. It's a region that was once famous for its coal mines, but as Addie finds out, although it's an industry that's mostly disappeared, some former miners are playing their part to help the memory live on.
The rock under this beautiful countryside was once the source of a thriving mining industry in South Wales. By the early 19th century, it was the largest exporter of coal in the world. But it was a changing political landscape in the 1970s and 80s that resulted in that industry coming to a dramatic end. This year marks 30 years since the end of one of the most notorious strikes in modern times, when British miners protested the breakdown of their industry. Here at the Big Pit Museum in Blaennorth in South Wales, a colliery which closed back in 1980 was transformed into a working museum, preserving for posterity the story of Wales' industrial past and the communities that were formed around them. Here you can explore down the old pit yourself.
In this area, women and children would work.
So what age would the children be?
In this particular area, they'd be aged about 9, 10 years of age.
9, 10 years?
Yeah, and their job would be to push those trucks containing the ton of coal onto the cage, and then they would go up the shaft.
That's massive, and they'd push those?
Yeah, 1 ton, working 12 hours a day.
Up until child labour laws were introduced in 1842, children as young as 6 worked down British coal mines, many of them working by candlelight, operating ventilation doors like these.
They'd hear this horse coming along with the haulier. They'd get up, open the door, and then he'd close the door. What do you think would happen to that candle, Eddie?
Candle would go up.
The child's going to be in the dark.
God.
You hear the other horse coming along with haulier, he'd get up, open the door. Haulier would have a candle with him, so you would light that child's candle. How you doing, guys? All right?
All right.
Yeah. I left school at the age of 15, came to work in the mines. I did 22 years in the coal mine.
I mean, what was it like at 15 coming down and working in the mine?
My grandfather was a miner, my father was a miner, my father's brother was a miner. Yes, they'd tell me about it, but you're still filled with apprehension. The first day you stepped on that cage or bond, as we used to call it. But then, like I say, it's a way of life. In Wales, every village had a coal mine.
We set off to join the picket lines, but together we cannot fail. We got stopped by police at the county line. They said, go home, boys, or you'll go into jail.
More and more pits around the UK began to close until the mid-80s, when miners like Kerry Thompson, who now works at the Big Pit Museum, felt forced to take industrial action. The government claimed that the industry was outdated and coal could be bought cheaper overseas.
And there's always been pit closures, but I think the problem was they wanted so many to close in the same time. And it felt in a way that you were actually some sort of fight back.
Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you?
So that's coal?
Yeah, that's the coal seam that you see there, Addy.
Never seen that like that before. Yeah. And then how would you physically remove that coal? Is it just
straight manual labour with
Yeah,
the
well,
axe.
what it used to be, this is what we call a stall. And what you'd have father and son, man and boy working together. So the man would pick the coal off using the mandrel, yeah, and the boy would load the coal into the tram. Now it'd be lumps of coal the size of my fist. So you would use this curling box, put the coal into there, and then tip it into the tram. Once the tram was full, all you would come along, attach the hose to the tram, and out you'd go and put an empty in place.
The strike ended with the miners going back to work in March 1985, but the industry's days were numbered.
2 months after we were made redundant, that was one of the lowest points in my life, I think, because you didn't know what you were going to do next. It did work out for me in a way because I decided to go into further education and then work my way up through the museum, you know, but that wasn't the same for everybody.
Britain today, there's 3 deep mines working, and by the end of the year, them 3 mines will be closed. So there will be no coal mining on big scales within Britain.
So it's an end of an era in British industry.
That's right.
Of course, it's all good having a museum here, but it's no substitute for the thousands of jobs that were lost here in South Wales. For now at least, the former miners that work here can help to shine a light on this important part of Wales's industrial heritage.
That's all we've got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed joining us on our travels. If you want to follow the rest of the Travel Show team wherever they are in the world in real time, you can sign up to our social media feeds. The details are on your screen now. Coming up next week...
Waiting on platform number 1.
Morning.
The brand new direct link between London and the sunny south of France. But in an age of maglev and bullet trains, we ask, is Europe's rail network still very much a stopping service?
Join us for that if you can. But until next time, from me, Carmen Roberts, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in the Seychelles, it's goodbye.